I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. Don't turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make a man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Naja boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack notebooks on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, I'm scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my wounds as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Ooh, that soldier in the mirror, oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. But the battle ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing. You need endurance to go in. I got mileage on this pen. I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Ooh, that soldier in the mirror, oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Alston.
Chloe, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
Come on, bro. Judgment, Alston.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a-running.
For what?
But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love it when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to see you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. All of you I see in the chat. Hey Chi-Chi, thank you so much for being here. Also, we have a rule here, 21 and over, please. If you would like to email me, you could have your mom email me, and I mean that in all seriousness. I'm not even joking with that. But honestly, if it's someone that's a friend of Devlin or something like that, definitely have your mom email me, reach out. But other than that, we are 21 and over because we talk about topics that are sensitive and viewer discretion is always advised. I hope you guys brought your snacks. I hope you brought your snacks. I hope you guys brought your own seatbelts and possibly a barf bag if need be. Like I said, we talked about some tough subjects here. Hey, Women's Warrior. Sorry I had to push my live up just 15 minutes because I had to hop in the shower. Um, a lot of just really horrible stuff. So I just had to take a shower really quick before I came up here. That's terrible. But that's why I pushed it up just a little bit so I wasn't, too late. But thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you. And Gail, thank you so much for the green and blue hearts. We are Devlin's army. We are Sebastian's army. We are also going to talk about Sebastian Rogers tonight too. I like to incorporate both cases because there's a lot of similarities. Hey, little Miss Sharon. And above all, we have seen all of this behavior before, right? It is absolute crisis acting, right? Crisis actors, actresses, right? It is quite hilarious to me. I don't know why I found that to be the most funny thing I've heard all day, possibly all week. And I laughed and laughed, and I continued to laugh. And so, and Joe says, I hate Will. I hate Will Smith. I was disappointed with that smack on Chris Rock, but then again, I'm like, he was talking about his wife, so I'm neutral. So Joe says sorry, not sorry. Hey Kiki, so good to see you. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for being here, even everybody in the bushes. Hey, Witchy Mama, good to see you. We also have Little Miss Sharon here. Hey, Little Miss Sharon, good to see you. Forget Me Not, good to see you, Forget Me Not. We also have Leslie in the house. Hey, Leanne, I did not hear anything about Jack and Lily an update. I wish I had. I do know that Jules is working on that case, and I think she would have texted me and let me know that, they had found someone or something in the case, had updated. Hey, Jilly. And plus, my phone didn't blow up with any, like whenever something goes down, my phone just tends to light up like a Christmas tree. Hey, Shadow, good to see you. So good to see you guys tonight. And also, let's see who we have here. We got Shadow. Okay, I saw everybody. Oh, hey, Andrea, good to see you. Thank you, Chi Chi, for the hearts in the chat. Shadow. Also, Brenda Calvert's here. Hey, Brenda, good to see you. So I think the gang's all here. Welcome into everybody that's coming in. I tried to set the live up early tonight. This week has been crazy busy. So I don't think anything about the Greenville, Michigan lead in the Devlin Tate case. I'm just going to put that out there and just, you know what I mean? If I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. And so that's all I can really say about the Greenville lead. I sent over, a missing poster. I would imagine if somebody that resembled Devlin was there, that the management would have reached out, or at least we would have heard that he was located. I pray every day that we get closure in Devlin's case. I don't. I'm not apologetic when I'm telling Devlin's story, because I think that there are a lot of things that people don't want to be called out for in this case, and in my opinion, if it's part of the dynamic and what has transpired, especially up to when Devlin went missing, I think those are important pieces to examine and at least put them into the evidence locker, so to speak, right? And just in case we have to revisit something. I don't think the answer is far away. I think that Devlin will be found. I don't see it being especially when we look at who we're dealing with in this case, anybody who is smart enough to pull something completely off, law enforcement, I would imagine, is doing the best that they can do in the situation. One thing to remember is that Devlin is a minor, or excuse me, Devlin is not a minor. Devlin is not a minor. He turned 19 um, right after he went missing. He had a birthday. And so with that being said, it's difficult in the way of, if people think that Devlin ran away, it's perfectly legal for him to do that. And I know that probably doesn't translate well because Devlin has special sets of circumstances that he deals with. But a judge did emancipate him from anyone's care. Granted, he got in trouble for some things which would maybe happen in a case where someone doesn't have the freedoms and all of a sudden they do. Um, hey Hopeful, it's good to see you. So, there's that. There's that piece to this story that we don't see in the Sebastian Rogers case. Although many elements are very similar. But age does play a factor into things, and also who had custody over someone, or if they did it all, right? Who was the last one with the person? So that's where we're led to the last person who was with Devlin was Devlin, right? He was out in the community. He was out walking around, and he did that quite frequently. So we know that excuse me, got a little frog in my throat. We do know that. Um that's one thing that we can say that he did, right? Or something about Devlin. So, trying to pin down the routes that he could have taken to the places that he knows about, because as far as I've talked to a lot of people, and that's why I haven't been going live so much this week, is because I was also, doing videos, of course, and updating about Captain Jules. So definitely say prayers for Captain Jules and Gator, and give them claps and medals in the chat, please. So because they deserve it, and it just goes to show what a dangerous job that our Jules has, and that she's out there fighting the good fight for a good reason, for us. So, but either way, and I did make a cute video about that too. Um, so definitely go check that out. Um, but I've been talking to people and, tracking things down. Thank you, Chi. Tracking things down, right? And talking to people for myself, because yeah, I can, talk to someone and they can say, well, this person saw him over here. But if I could talk to the person that saw him that day, that is much better in my opinion. That way we can check the boxes off, right? Because this is a complicated case with all of the people and places and things that Devlin could have gotten into, right? He could have been out on foot, or he could have possibly gotten into a vehicle. And the vehicle theory, I'm working on trying to figure out maybe if there's some license plate readers on the highway that could have picked up, a strange car or a familiar car, right? Whose cars were out and about that day? Where was everybody at? Right? Because we have some alibis given. Sunfield at, working is Sabrina and Will, right? And they apparently went to that job after Devlin went to town that day. And I understand, since none of us have seen the footage of Devlin, it's difficult for us to really say heads or tails of whether uh, he was at the grocery store, right? But by all accounts, he was at the grocery store, Carl's Supermarket in Lake Odessa, Michigan, when he went missing. After that, it's sparse camera footage, right? We have him on the Sunoco cameras, but only going one way, right? So, Women's Warrior says, I feel we need to look at asking for any person with a disability is treated as a minor until 21 or even 25 years old. In the UK, we do that. You do? Oh my goodness, I didn't know that, Women's Warrior. Thank you for sharing that. So hey Star. So my opinion on that is kind of wishy-washy. Because here's my problem My problem is that if I look at Devlin's case specifically, I find a couple of problems just with keeping him as a minor till 21, because Devlin Tate was not in the hands of people who actually cared about him and cared for him in the way that he deserved to be or needed to be, right? Because he was abused terribly, right? To from one extreme to the other. And the problem that I have with that is that nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to touch that, right, with a 10-foot pole. But why? Because it's very important to understand Devlin's story, who Devlin is, why Devlin would act the way that he did, right? Why was it when he was emancipated all of a sudden he's getting in a bunch of trouble, right? Some of this trouble was happening before then, but I also think it's a manifestation of his environment and who raised him. So, yeah, we definitely need resources in this case. We do, Women's Warrior, but I know what you're saying, especially if someone see, and that's the flip side of the coin, is that if we were to say put Devlin with Sabrina and Tamara and them, yes, he would be with us, but he would still be in a very terrible situation. And I also want to say that even if he went to stay with his mother, I believe that it would have been the same situation all over again. And that's what's really, really sad about Devlin's case, is because he didn't deserve to have no one, right? No one to really confide in. Now, there were people that helped Devlin out. No doubt about it. So you have Penny's Pizzeria, who helped out with giving Devlin lunch, right? When he was hungry and they knew it. Um they would offer him that, which is very sweet of them, and there were other people that also were kind to Devlin and then helped him out, right? Because he would have needed that extra help. I don't see how it would have been very easy for him, let alone substantial, for a child who sleeps on the floor every night to walk to a job every single day and clock in with all of this extra stress added on top of him, right? And then the locking him out of the house is also very difficult, along with if you're a no call, no show. Not that I'm saying this particular circumstance went that way, but it would be difficult to call your job if you don't have a phone. It would be difficult to get a job if you don't have a phone, right? And you're always out and about and you're always having to charge your phone at the laundromat and different places. That's not consistent. That's not normal. I think it's very important to understand when children have sensory issues, as Devlin appears to have or appeared to have. The sensory input that they're seeking could also be dangerous for them. And when they are the victim of SA from a very young age, that's not going to manifest very well. It wouldn't manifest very well for any of us, right? Yeah, Shadow, I'm working on getting together some proof of that. Yeah, and it really does suck. Um, it really does, because I don't think that Devlin would have been better off anywhere besides maybe having some housing for himself, some help for himself, right? Like someone helping him along, so to speak. That's not his family, right? And it's not an easy thing for me to say that, right? Because everybody needs their family. Thank you, Chuchi, for thanking Penny's Pizza. Yeah, it's so sweet of them to do that, right? Because he wasn't getting like hot meals and stuff. You can't, he had to buy all the groceries and stuff over at Carl's and then just go somewhere for the day. You know, it's not like they have a microwave there that they can warm stuff up or anything like that. Gail, I don't believe so. With all of the research that I've done and all of my experience with the entire situation, along with these text messages I'm about to show you guys, I don't think so. No, ma'am. No. And, I could be wrong, but he never had a chance to even try. So I have to consider that as well. Devlin didn't have a chance to even try to see if things would work with his mom or see if maybe he could even get himself a place in Arizona, you know, um, which is very sad for Devlin because he deserved better. And I think that he could have had a better life if he would have had more resources and people to help him out a little bit. Because, it kind of sucks too that he was very partial to Michigan and people in Michigan. He had people that he really loved and cared for there. Right? So, but I think he would have been better off to just stay there and probably get himself a little place or apartment. That's my opinion from what I've been assessing lately. They all failed him, Chuchi, and that's the saddest part, you know? I see that's it, women's warrior. You're right. She says, I agree with the judge saying he's an adult when he made the ruling. The judge should have found him and supported accommodation to go to immediately, and probation could have done this part of his plan. And I agree with that, women's warrior. I don't know where the crack was there exactly, but I think there is one that appears to be when the judge kind of um said that he wanted to be done with all of that, and emancipate him. I think that it was more of just like the pen stroke and not really thinking about the consequences afterwards, because then he's still going home to these people, right? To Tamara and Sabrina. And I can't shake the fact that, Sabrina and Tamara, excuse me, were the last ones with Devlin, right? Because apparently he didn't call anybody else that morning, right? That I know of. So they saw him. He went up to the grocery store. Supposedly he went and talked to Matt at the laundromat. You have all of this time, and then Sabrina starts worrying about where Devlin is at 6:30 in the evening. But why? Because his curfew that was imposed by the judge was for 10 p.m. So why at 6:30 p.m. is she worried about Devlin? Right? Well, I hadn't heard from him. No one had heard from him. But here's the thing. Someone did hear from him, and it was in your family. So that is back to the Tates again, right? So that's Sandra, Matt, possibly Lorraine. I know she works over at Burger King, so I don't know. Was she there? She might be. She lives there. Right? Sandra and Matt live, or excuse me, Lorraine and Matt still live with Sandra. So that puts Matt as the last person to talk to him, which is odd because he called his mom, in the morning a lot and everything like that. There was something going on, though, on Easter. And again, we're going to examine that tomorrow. So Hey, KJ Mac. So, did the judge have any indication that he was in an unhealthy living environment? Yeah, Star, he did. He did have that indication because it wasn't just like a random judge that was assigned or appointed to Devlin. It was a judge that had known him before too and had presided on his case. And as far as I know, he had presided on his case pretty much his whole entire life, um, to the best of my understanding. So, and I think that's the biggest, bummer there too, is that, obviously the ball was dropped really in a big way, you know. So, thanks, Star, for asking that because that is a good question. Um, yeah, she was blocked. KJ Mac, exactly. She was blocked anyway. Yeah. And so, she had to call Devlin. Um, so, but there's a lot of information that's coming out from a lot of different people and their points of view, right? So that doesn't make things easier when there's more questions. I would love to see the probation services were meant to be doing with him. I don't know how probation service works in the US. Here they make action plan like housing, etc. as family causing offended. Yeah, offenders behavior. Yeah, absolutely. Like if some, if things are bad for one person, right, the offender, then they're going to be bad for everybody in the house. Yeah, definitely women's warrior. They don't typically do that here with resources. Now, if Devlin had a decent lawyer, they can try to do something like that because they could again remind the courts who they're dealing with, right? They're not dealing with the average Joe with Devlin, and I do spend a lot of time up here telling people, don't treat people with different abilities so differently. But in this circumstance, we must, because it's not fair to treat him like he's an adult, in my opinion, when he can't make those decisions, logically speaking, because of his, different abilities, right? He's good at some things, but those are things that he was having trouble managing, right? So why not give him a hand? Brenda says yes, job assistance, medication assistance, and regular check insurance. He was staying on track, would have served Devlin better. Yeah, I think so too. And I don't understand why a social worker wasn't more involved. But again, at that point, I think that we would have to call an adult services on the family, right? And again, I'm sorry that people want me to tell their story the way that they want it told, but I'm here to tell Devlin's story the way that I see it, right? So when I get this information, I'm showing people statements on how things were for Devlin, which a lot has been admitted that he was, essentially a kid from Lake Odessa, right, or Hastings area, right? And he was adopted when he was a baby. And then those people raised him till he was about 10 years old, but then he was taken away from them for abuse, right? And then he was put with another part of their family. And then he was pretty much bounced around like a fucking ping pong ball. Night court, right? So that's the issue. That's the issue here, is that he was just bounced around like, you know, and then told all of a sudden, "Hey, you got free reign to do whatever you want to do." And it is a shame. It's sad. It's sad. Thank you, Chuchi. If you haven't tapped that like thank you very much, Lil Miss Sharon. Probation and rules for it are set by the judge, and the probation officer enforces the rules, so it would depend on the judge, I would think. Yeah, and I think too, like if you ask for things, like they'll be done. That's kind of how the court is. If you don't know about that, or he doesn't have a good lawyer, which I don't know who is his public defender, but everybody gets a lawyer. Even if you can't afford one, the court will appoint one to you. He needed someone to mentor him. I think so too, Leslie, and not anyone in that house, right? And that's the problem, because no one was willing to step up to help him out, in that regard, because it is a full-time job, and it is something that somebody would have to have care or compassion to do that for someone else, especially if it's not your family member, right? But when it is your family member, then we look to the family members, because that's who was with them, right? I mean, that's all that is. We have to look into that. He is scared for mom to call in adult services. She wouldn't let her number, speaks volumes, in my opinion. So very sad, because I can see the potential of him having a great life in hand. God bless him. Yeah, and I think he could have had a better chance. Um, if he would have caught a break. Women's Warrior. That's the saddest part for Devlin, in my opinion, is that he could never catch a break. And he did fall through the cracks. He did. The only people there to catch him were self-serving. And that's another thing, when, you have people that are toxic and they're using things against you, as we're going to see. And I'm talking all of the adults in his life, you guys. I know it's going to be tough to understand too. Um, and I'll be here to walk us through it, but it just is what it is. Hey, Cinderella, Cinderella. So, that's just the way it is. We can't change it. But I think that there's a lot to be said about these missing cases. So even in the Sebastian Rogers case, we have Seth, who is, the only parent that is looking. And that's sad. For Devlin, they don't really have anybody that are looking, right, in the family. And that's sad. Because Greenville's not that far. They could just drive over there. Right? Greenville, Michigan. It's not that far. They can go look and see at that hotel. They could go to the Dairy Queen. Hey, meow. So that's the problem. They don't want to do it. And that's what's kind of really screwy. All right. So let's see here. Let's watch this. Oh, God, you guys. It's necessary. It's necessary. Go, we're going to be going over. So I wanted to introduce this to you guys. Oh boy. Here, giddy up. All right. Here you have it. Okay, so see you next year. Merry Griftmas. Merry Griftmas. I'm just gonna play it all in its entirety, and then I'll go ahead. We'll discuss it, frame by frame, so I can, remember the concepts. It'll be smoother that way. On mute, but hopefully you guys enjoy this. So here we go.
Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor.
Alrighty, guys. So just get a really good look at Devlin Tate, right? He is missing out of Lake Odessa, Michigan, April 21st, 2025. He went missing. So 7 months ago, we are going to be approaching the 8 month mark. So it's not easy to think about that. I think it's terrible. This is a wonderful flyer that was made by our friend Rachel. So shout out to Rachel. Thank you. And it's just beautiful. And a couple different pictures on there so we can get a look at Devlin and his features. He does have a mole like on the other side of his it would be on his left side. So um not as noticeable in this picture, but there's some pictures that are. He does have hazel eyes, so they change, right, due to his mood. But he has brown hair, and he's about 6 foot tall. He also weighs a questionable amount. I don't know if it's 170. He was quite thinner, and you can tell, like even his pictures over here are um not quite as old as this one, right? This is a more recent picture and he's thinner. You can see his face is thinner. Um, and his body type is thinner also. Whoops, there we go. So Merry friggin' friggin' Christmas, right? Fucking Christmas. Okay, so or Griftmas rather. Yeah, the flyer's awesome. I'm so grateful for that. I am so grateful for that. That's a good idea, Women's Warrior. I would love to do that, something like that. That would be fun. Um, yeah, we could always do something like that, and I can make a video also for the channel. You could share it. We could do a collaboration. Um, so that would be fun. But yeah, so we have some griftmas activity going on in Devlin's case, right? And it's quite ridiculous, right? But for us, it's very obvious. We end up seeing a lot of this behavior on YouTube and other platforms. And it's very strange that we would have this in a missing persons case, right? Um, Again, one of the saddest things that I think, and one of the big cracks in this case, is that Devlin was being failed by everyone. So he was falling through the family, generational abuse and trauma, right? And it's very thick in this case. So when we see the way that the adults act in Devlin's case, it's astounding. So I'm not sure if you guys have watched my previous live streams, but I did do a live stream about um, me just going ahead and sending Christmas presents to AJ from the channel, and I did that. So, but I have to say, guys, the list of items was, not only suspicious, because why would you need all of these adult items, right? Um, when you're an adult yourself, right? And you've had your apartment, and, I mean, I don't understand that. So, I mean, even I had people who were saying to me, which the thought was on my mind as well, um, when I asked them about it. But I mean, they were like, what is she hiding him somewhere? Because she's putting all these like items on there. And I'm like, either that or she was doing that for herself. But either way, it's Christmas for AJ, right? And this is the mother of a missing child, but I have to call it out because it was done under, my name and my reputation, which I thought was very disappointing, to say the least. But above that, it was not a list for AJ. No, and that concerns me because if there's not that concern for, a 3-year-old, then there's not going to be that concern for a 19-year-old, you know? So it's just horrible. Um, but again, we'll be talking more about some more of those antics as well. Okay, so tonight, Lady Freedom presents pretending to care by manipulating, playing the victim, and not sticking to your word in an already horrible situation like a missing persons case, right? Hashtag shit bums. Hashtag shit bums. So, yeah, the list was bad, Shadow. It was just so bad. And I actually was promoting the list because, when I looked at it, it had stuff on there for AJ, and then the only off thing that I saw was a dresser. But then all of a sudden there was other items on there, like a wood burning kit, a microwave, a vacuum thing. I think it was a shop vac. But you guys were just not having it, and I could tell that you guys were like, because nobody had bought anything off of the list because it was really, you know, off. And somebody might have even sent me like an email about it and I missed something because I have been just busy with other things. I just thought that that was something that I could check off the list. That was something that we could do that was good before Christmas. But then I had to make an announcement because I was like, oh gosh, everybody's probably waiting for me to realize this or whatever. And, or maybe I missed something. And then I went on there to do the Cyber Monday shopping and I realized like, wow, this is crazy, you know? Um, no, Gail, and I'll show you the explanations that I did get for other things that I asked her because the text messages that I'm going to share with you guys are pretty explosive and I just was waiting and I didn't want to, again, I don't want to do it too close to Christmas, but if you're going to do a grift maneuver on me, I'm going to have a problem with it. So, and this is how I, deal with it is just showing what happened, right? Because, you know, I can't do much also, Gail, if people don't want to help themselves, right? Like if I give somebody resources and they don't reach out, that's a major problem to me. It's a big problem. So, um, and in Devlin's case, we've witnessed a lot of that kind of stuff. In the Sebastian Rogers case, it was all over YouTube. It's everywhere, right? But on social media platforms for Devlin's case, it's excuse me, mainly TikTok and Facebook, right? And there is a lot of fuckery in this case. There's been a lot of fuckery, right? Hashtag shit bums. Hashtag shit bums all across the board. And that's the saddest thing for Devlin, right? But that's what motivates me to help even more. And as I said before, there's nothing that I could ever find out about his mom, or his family for that matter, to make me not want to look for Devlin, right? I've had to say that to both sides of his family because they just want to go after each other. They just want to fight back and forth. They don't want any type of responsibility laid upon themselves, right? And that goes for everyone across the board. I don't have to have a victim. I don't have to say this one's good, this one's bad. No, we're all humans. We're all good and bad. But in this case, it's so horrible how Devlin was treated by his own family. Hashtag shit bums. And then you have people coming in saying that they're helping, but they're not. They're being a drama queen. It's all about, oh, poor me. And, I'm the victim and manipulating polls, right? Um, there was a horrible situation with the reward fund in Devlin Tate's case. Chuchi. I don't think we could get in trouble, for it because because I didn't on TikTok. That's what I was worried about. But I love it. Hashtag shit bombs. You know. I don't think there's guilt. No, Leslie, and that's one important thank you for asking that, because that's one important thing that I do, want to say is that, yeah, I don't think that Devlin is there. I'm thinking that it was a griftmas, right? Activity, rather than, maybe she's hiding him and getting him items for his apartment somewhere that nobody knows about, cuz how would he have gotten down there? And that's the only problem. And I think that the police would have been able to track their activities. And I will say also that the police um, have access to Jessica's Google account, and she showed me proof of that. And that's what's very hard for me with with the whole situation with Jessica, because she did show um, a lot of receipts for things, and I appreciate that. That's all I'm ever going to ask for people, right? Because like I could say it, yeah, all day, somebody else can say it all day, but if you show me like text correspondence, that's a little bit different, right? So, and some people send me items and they say, or items, items. Sometimes people send me like screenshots and things like that. And I can't even say sometimes, always send me stuff. And, I sometimes would have to ask somebody, should I, show this? And 9 times out of 10, people are like, yes, please show it. Show the truth, please. That's why I'm asking you. That's why I'm coming to you, So, hey, Holly, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I love your little Santa. So cute. The Santa guinea pig. Um, but yeah, so I mean, yeah. It's a terrible tangled web. It's a tangled web. But yeah, so um with everything with the poll that was supposed to be put up, um it was a very rigged situation. And again, I'm working on the video for it. But I was allowing for this K Nicole person, also Casper on YouTube and TikTok. This person decided that they were going to put the poll up instead of Mary, right? And then they were going to take the TikTok down and not put it back down, and or excuse me, back up, and then blame it on having something called POTS. If you guys know what that is, or POTS, I have no idea what POTS is. I have no idea. So I don't know what that is. But she was like, it's hard and I'm working all the time. And I was like, sure, just let me know when you put it up so I could show people. Because documentation is important, especially when there was a lot more money that was raised in this situation that is being held up for the reward. I'm just going to say that. There was more than $6,000 raised. Hands down, guys. And I'm horrible at math. I will point to the time when I think I said one day about how I'm 5'6" and somebody 6 foot tall is something. I forget. It was funny, but I got it way wrong. Right? I'm horrible. But the problem is that you can kind of just start adding everything up, right? And people in the community were doing the same thing, so I figured, well, why not use it for this? And so I figured maybe, people had been mean to her, and so she was deciding, and Mary is who I'm talking about. So she decided to say, whatever, I'm going to do with what I want to do with it. It's in my control or whatever. But when I asked to postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, heart disease. Is that a heart disease, Lil Redo? I need some more info. Thank you, Little Red, for letting us know what it is. Thank you, because I have no idea. Okay, thank you. I was like, maybe it stands for like, you know, piss off some piss off, like I thought maybe she was given an acronym, but it was like a satire, like she was being silly. I don't know. Because the thing is I don't hate people. Oh, thank you guys. I just had the text message. Um, oh, rapid heartbreak. Okay, yeah, that's what tachycardia is. Okay. Huh. Is she sick? Because now I feel bad because I wasn't trying to. Oh, there's diarrhea and oh shit. All right. Well, okay. I thought she might have been just being like, because she hasn't posted it. And she's been posting videos of herself dancing in front of the TikTok video, guys. Okay. Hashtag shit bombs. Okay. I'm sorry. Why do I have to? Oh, fuck. See how much good to see you. She says, Potts, you pass from standing up. You pass out just from standing up? Really? Holy crap. So hopefully she doesn't do that on a TikTok fail. I've heard of you faint from feeling dizzy a lot. Oh, is that like swooning? Remember back in the day when the ladies would be like, oh, and then they fall over? Nobody ever does that anymore. You ever notice that? And Women's Warrior says, I can just imagine what you have been going through with this case. Women's Warrior, you have no idea. You have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. I would do it again. I'm still gonna do it. It doesn't matter what they tell me or what anybody says about anybody or says about each other. Um, it's not gonna deter me from the goal of finding Devlin. It actually motivates me to do better for him, but I wish other people would do better too. So it's very frustrating and also disappointing. Um, God's gobsmacked by or gobsmacked, I would imagine, and your jaws just keep dropping and dropping. Yeah, pretty much. Women's Warrior says, "I'm glad you're so honest. Um, it's why I'm here. Thank you. Yeah, I have to be honest for Devlin. Women's Warrior, it's his story I'm telling, not theirs, and they got to remember that. And if they don't like their actions, they can apologize and explain. And the problem is they don't want to do that. They want to blame each other. Instead of saying, "Yeah, I did something wrong, right? I made a mistake." We all make mistakes. We're all human, you know? And sometimes we got some splaining to do, right? We got some splaining, Lucy, but we just have to do it. It's a heart issue. I know, Little Red. Sorry, I'm not trying to be. I'm sorry, I was giggling. I should have been laughing, but I was laughing at myself really because I thought maybe she was telling me, like, basically hashtag shit bum or something, but that's funny. You do see, I know about tachycardia, but not the rest of this. Hope floats. That would suck to be dizzy all the time and to have, all the other symptoms. So, but I'm sorry you're not feeling good, little Redo. I hope you feel better soon. I'm sorry. I know it's that time of year too. Plus, it's really cold at a lot of places. And that brings me to another point too. It is cold in Michigan, and the waters aren't going to be the safest places for searchers to be. Plus, all the snow and everything like that. Keeps things pretty, cold, slick, whatever. All of that. So with that, we're not going to be seeing a whole lot of activity with searches, right? But you know we did let the hunters in the woods at least know to look out for Devlin, right? Look out for him if you're out there, if you see anything strange, right? That's why we put the person's description. And I want to talk about that for the family members in case they're in the nosebleed section, right? And feel free, none of you are blocked. Not a single one of you is blocked. I don't do that here, right? We let you guys talk. You guys have talked before. Nobody's taking your comments away. So come on down. Come on out of the bushes if you please. Um, Factual information matters. It really does. Factual information matters. So, um, they have halted some search efforts in the case, but they also haven't just only searched in the beginning. So that's a good thing. There are a lot of people that have been searching and trying to find Devlin. So much so that it's beginning to make me think that if that's the truth, right, which I believe it, that maybe he's, just in a couple of other towns over, or how far could he have gotten then, right? Because we always have to consider how far did he get? How far he have gone from, if he's not in Lake Odessa, on foot, how far would he go? We know that he's gone to Vermontville. We also know that he's gone to Hastings. So there's places that he knows. But again, he would not have gotten very far without any money and just his bridge card, and it hasn't been used since, right? And being in the information age, I mean, it's going to be very easy to track somebody that only has that. So anytime he uses it, somebody's going to know. So yeah, the hunter. Thank you, little Miss Sharon. Yeah, it's a good idea for the hunters to keep an eye out. And Detroit Rock City also worked with us on that as well. You know, um, and those were the resources that I got over to the family members and things like that. And they just were not followed up on. So, but the reason why it's so important with the missing flyers to have a good description of the person, that when they went missing, is in case you might see some of those items out, right? Discarded. So if you see, a hoodie and it looks like it might have been Devlin's, it could have been his. He was wearing jeans. He was wearing the black cowboy boots, very distinctive black cowboy boots, guys. I get dizzy when I smell the bullshit, Holly. I'm sorry. Do you get dizzy a lot, Miss Holly? um, Sorry. I just figured I was like, but yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be nicer, but I just thought that was funny. I'm sorry, Holly. Holly says I'm dizzy a lot. And I think, you know, and I don't know if vertigo is the same thing. They sent me a description of it. There's a lot of symptoms on there. There's like a lot. I think it's just called POTS, but it's like headaches and chest pains and fainting and brain fog, lightheadedness. So, but I don't know. But I'm dizzy with the bullshit. I really am. And and the problem is that, you know, people are saying that they want to help Devlin out, but they're not doing anything really to help him out, besides causing trouble in the situation. And this is just, fun. This is the funniest thing I've ever heard of. Somebody sent this to me. They said that, um, you know, this person's acting like a crisis actor, and I'm like, that is the funniest thing that I've heard, and I was laughing really, really hard. And um, you woke up one morning completely deaf, Cinderella? Oh my goodness. See, I have minimal knowledge of American Sign Language. But I don't know if you had to learn sign language. The scary skull. Oh my gosh, Sam. So the scary skull is Um, something that something that someone made. They made that for the bake sale for Devlin. They made that for the bake sale and said this is a good, you know, representation of the bake sale, and then they were upset when I made fun of it. But, I just pointed it out because it's offensive to me, and then I just made fun of it because that's, a defense mechanism that I use to get through some of these traumatic situations in this case. And then this lady behind me, she got really upset with me because I made fun of that and the timepiece tree. I call it the timepiece tree, but it's right underneath me, and it's just a whole bunch of random watches that don't work anymore, and it's covering a mirror, but it's a Christmas tree, and then they put balls on it. Yeah. So this lady called me a liar, and she keeps smearing me and calling me a liar, which, I mean, I think that you guys have all been here long enough to know that that's not true. Hey, Veronica. Good to see you. Oh my goodness. Family shit bumps. Let's go. Hashtag shit bumps. I'm sorry. I know, and I can't help myself here, right? But then she was mad at me about the skull. But let me take my big head off the skull, and I'll show you guys. Look at this. Do you see that? The pearls. It looks like One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies. And I don't know what's up with all these Goonies references as of lately, but they're really freaking hilarious. The skull mustache, and he's got eyebrows, Andrea. I mean, look at his eyebrows. You guys. Oh, cry. Okay, Jiminy Christmas. And then we have jewels. His grill is bejeweled. I don't know what to call that besides bejeweled grill that this lady did. She's upset because she doesn't want me to talk about it. But, I mean, it's very odd, and it scares the living crap out of me, just to be honest. So, I mean, I can't not talk about it. That's why I said it's going to be creepy at night court tonight because we're revisiting. Every time I put this guy up here, I feel, a certain type of way about it. The group that he lived with for a while, is there any credible information? Not really, Gail. And, it's funny that you bring that up because it is something that I always keep in, the back of my mind because of access, right, and timing. I mean, yeah, it wasn't incredibly, um, it wasn't right before he went missing, but it was pretty close, right, in time frame. So there's that. It looks like witchcraftery. I know, and it scares me. And then the dimples, I guess are cheeks. They put jewels, bejeweled them. I don't know. It's so creepy. And then the top half looks like One-Eyed Willie with eyebrows. And I don't think One-Eyed Willie even had eyebrows. Do you guys remember if he did? Because I don't think anybody drew eyebrows on One-Eyed Willie. But this guy's got two red eyes that scare me. Andrea said, "Oh, I missed the eyebrows. My word." Andrea, oh boy. It was Kay Nicole, the clown up on the screen. Shadow, she got mad at me because she called me a liar to begin with, about marrying the money and all of that. She called me a liar, and she said, Lady Freedom's a liar and she just likes the drama and blah blah blah. So her and Mary joined forces, and wanted me to come on the panel, and I said no. And then it was this Lady Freedom's a liar. And then recently I got a tip from a little birdie, right? A little birdie tells me that yeah, she called me a liar behind, the scenes here, which was really interesting. It was very interesting. Um, so Yeah. It is so creepy, Veronica. It's creepy. It's the creepiest thing. And this was at Devlin's bake sale, guys. Somebody won these items at Devlin's bake sale, the mirror too, and they were very excited about that. And they posted them on Facebook. And when I saw it, my jaw did drop open, like, Women's Warrior said. I know it's scary, Veronica. It gives me very bad vibes, right? I'm like, ooh, what's this? Good evening, Bless. Good to see you. So, also, I mean, she was upset about this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, don't call me a liar, and I won't call you a clown. And then I even told her that in her live stream. I'm like, I would have never called you a clown if you didn't call me a liar. So she calls me a liar again. I put her up as a clown, right? So I said, "Did you call me a liar? I forgive you, tragedy. Pimpin' ain't easy, is it?" Okay. It's not about us, guys. And I don't know. I think we maybe haven't had this conversation in a while and we need to revisit this, but it's not about us as creators. It's about the missing children, the missing people. And I mean, that goes for anyone, even any age that we are right now. Just think about how horrific it would be if we went missing, right? It would be terrible. And it's not something that anybody would ever want to happen. It should never happen as it is, but it does. So, One-Eyed Willie, he just needs an eye patch, and it would be an improvement because, I mean, maybe he could wear 2 and be One-Eyed Willie's cousin. Exactly. So who's somebody said that I saw, up here. Oh, Sam did. He could be a double eye patch because those things, I think it's the red eyes. So, Holly, I'm just like, "Oh my god." So then, somebody tells me that's a crisis actor, and I laughed so hard. I said, "That's gotta be the title for tonight's show. That's too funny." Crisis actor, is a funny one to me. We don't need LARPers in missing children situations. Who does this remind you of? Sebastian Rogers, right? Because people were LARPing. I mean, we even have a PI person and that said that they were a PI and they weren't. She told Jessica she's a PI and she wasn't a PI. So imagine Jessica's surprise when she finds out that that's not a PI, right? So, the lady saying you're a liar is not who you are. In fact, you're brutally honest. I know that's what sucks. That's what I'm saying. Women's warrior. It's terrible, isn't it? Sometimes it can sting. It's a good quality to have. Just people who are liars don't like honest people, in my opinion. Thank you, women's warrior. Yeah, I feel that way because I feel like they're just like projecting. Because I'm like, I've never lied. I just use people's statements and talk about those statements, right? Or the news articles. Those are the only things we could do to analyze the case. Um, so, but when people are kind of, manipulating situations like, um, and it's just very odd to me because I'm just a person here that's talking about Devlin's case. It's a big part of it. It really shied a lot of people away from wanting to help out in the situation, especially monetarily speaking. Brenda says, I was thinking he could have ran into someone he met in jail and they did something to him, but their lack of urgency in the possible sighting by the family is sus, in my opinion. Yeah, Brenda, because, as soon as it was sent over, I was like, okay, what do we do? Let's get the flyer out. And nobody, somebody could have just went over and checked. But I knew if we didn't send anything over there, nobody was ever going to do anything else about it, which is unfortunate. I hope somebody does. I hope somebody gets in their truck and takes a drive over, you know. So, because that's what needs to be done, right? If there's a possible sighting, and please, if you see a missing person or someone you perceive to be a missing person, please call a law enforcement. right away and let them know so they can check it out in their database and, all of that. That's why it's important too to know the local jurisdiction that's handling the cases. And I really like when people put that on the missing flyers. Some of these flyers are so good, guys. I'm not, the best flyer maker, but it's important to get all of the awareness out there. So, blessed. Hashtag Huckleberry. She just, it's actually very dramatic for the situation, blessed, because really, I just look at this reward as a joke. It's $6,000, right? And anybody that doesn't want to do it for the right reasons is wrong, in my opinion, because it shouldn't be about, that at all. Um, One thing that did concern me and it was something that I saw on a Facebook post, talking about how it would be, it should be saved for because we don't know if Devlin's going to come back alive or not, right? And I understand that that's maybe somebody saying, well, I'm just being realistic, or I'm just saying statistically speaking, and that is statistically speaking, sure. But the problem I have with that also is that when there's no hope, people tend to give up. And I just don't ever want to see people give up on Devlin because we've already watched it happen so many times, right? Because his mom reached out to him when he was 18, and then things were okay for a little while, but things were really starting to unravel. Really starting to unravel. And Devlin wasn't only being abused by them mentally, right? Because Jessica's not close enough to physically abuse him, but she was absolutely doing it mentally, verbally, as I'll show you guys. They can't handle the truth, Shadow. They cannot handle the truth. And and it happens and stuff too, I mean it does. It happens. But people reflect and then they come back with a different outcome. I always let people process things and I always figure, maybe the first time they won't really understand why it's wrong, but maybe once they start reflecting back on it, then they'll realize, why I'm, saying this. And so, with that being said, I just think that I just think people need to do better. I just think people need to do better for Devlin because they're not. They're not. Hey, Indigo, says I was in the bushes. Good coming out. Thank you for coming out of the bushes. I'll admit that his skull dang near looks like they were trying to make it resemble Devlin, in a kind of way of a pretty skull look. I know it's weird, right? The mustache when there's a missing man, like a missing person man. It's not like Devlin was a little kid, which it would also be equally weird because he'd be too young for something like that. Um, and last I found out, it's not like Devlin was, like, super into skulls, like, that was his thing or anything weird. Because I mean, then I could see people maybe, like, crafting their own skulls and bringing it to the, event or something, but this is very this is very strange and, you know, um, morbid almost. Yeah, morbid is a good word. Thank you, Indigo, for coming out of the bushes. Thank you. Yeah, girl. Morbid. It's just and I'm sorry if that hurt somebody's feelings, but I can't, I mean, this is just how I see it. It's my opinion. It's not, the end all be all, so, um yeah, the red tomato cap, I know. I know, and it's just so strange. It's like somebody took an old flannel. I mean, somebody worked hard on this, so they did. They did. Yeah, Cinderella. I know, and it's like not sometimes it's not always the best thing, you know? I mean, I have to tell people how, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm like holding back information that would help you guys to help, figure things out as well, because that's not what I want either. It's a diamond tooth. Diamond encrusted teeth, bedazzled grill is what I call it. But then not only that, I mean, they put pearls on this little ditty. Mm, I don't know. Exactly, Sam. There's a line in his cross. Sagittarius didn't know there was a line. This is my dad's motto I gave. That's funny, Sam. I love that. Exactly. I know. I'm kind of pushing the envelope here, right? I want to put, pressure on things. Another thing that I want to put pressure on is getting us some footage of Devlin that morning in the neighborhood or somewhere. Carl's, I don't care where it's from. I just want to see it. Pronto. I need to see it. Otherwise, it's some of the things that keep me up at night. So, don't touch my corn. IML has entered the building. Hello, IML. Don't touch my corn cob. Don't put your slobbery bald corn knob cob on my corn cob. That's fresh. A fresh corn cob. That's hilarious. I got the impression of Devlin adopted family. They're victims, not Devlin. Yeah, but that's everybody across the board, Cinderella, and that's what is so disheartening to come to the realization of, right? Because you can get people all the resources all day, but if they don't decide that they're gonna actually do anything, ugh, it's the worst. So you just got to be like, okay, well, I guess you're not gonna want to do it, you know. And the saddest part is that I don't think that there's any guilt involved on his mom's side, but she just flat out doesn't want to do these things, right? Every excuse in the book. That's not okay for me. I'm not going to work with, you know, somebody that does that either. So there's been so many things that have gone drastically wrong, but yeah. I mean, some people might even say like that's why I think that there's guilty knowledge from Jessica because, of the way that she's acted. So that's why I understand that better now too, you know? Hashtag do better for Devlin. Yes. Hashtag shit bums. Hashtags do better for Devlin. Hashtag quit trying to grift at the Christmas um party. Yeah, come on. Oh, that would be a good idea, Little Red. We got to get billboards or something up. I don't know if they're going to do that. This one up here on the top of the screen, this little gooner up here, um, she says that they're going to do like a pancake breakfast that they do at Applebee's, which I found was really weird, but they do a flapjack thing over there. So hopefully she does that, and I hope that that's not just something that she's claiming she's gonna do. I really wanna see that happen, so I think that's great. I like to light the fire under people's arses, right? If I could do that and they can, it spurs her to be like, "This is my community, blah, blah, blah." Well, then do it in your community, please. I wanna see some people doing that. I mean, I would expect people that have a good heart and intentions to reach out to me or answer back if I ever reach out to them to find Devlin because that's all I want to do. Little Red says we can start an account for him at the bank. It's no cost and it will allow others to donate directly to the account. And I think that's a good idea. Because I did take the GoFundMe down again too because of the back and forth that was going on in terms of I want to go to Michigan, but then again, you want to go there to fight with, the other side of your son's family. And I don't want to facilitate that. So that was a big issue because I think it was more important to get a private eye, which there was a private eye, but I've heard from different sources that, that person came to a conclusion, that it's not going to be easy to work with the family members, right? And I've heard that from a couple of different sources. So it could possibly be the truth. So, and I can see that just working with each side of them, independently, um, or seeing them interact together here. If you guys have been in here when they've been in here, pretty much Tammy's been in here, I think, more than anyone. Sabrina was in the chat and then came up on the panel one time. And then Matt has been in here a couple times in the beginning when I first started covering Devlin's case. Um, and the problem in the beginning with that is that I wasn't getting good information from Laura Cobb, talk about corn cobs, right? I wasn't getting the good information. It was all bogus and it was fitting whatever narrative she wanted to press. And, then she started selling Devlin's keychains with the missing information on them. Why are we trying to make money, off of this kid? So I just don't like that. No, I think people need to be out there passing out flyers, spreading awareness is a big one. So yeah, Little Red, I would love to do something like that. We could set up some sort of a fund to help out. There's lots of ways that we can help. I want to know how we could do like those what they did for Michael Monkey Vaughn's case. Like I'm sure they did it, as a complimentary thing, like to show support for his family because he just has the best family, right? His mom's a sweetheart. She has been through so much. um but I would like to see something like that big for Devlin because he deserves it, and that doesn't take having to talk to the family members, which I know is a chore. It's actually an entire list. It's sad. Sam. That's right. Pressure makes diamonds. That's right. Grills. Exactly, Sam. That's funny. Hey, maybe it's a reminder to me to always put the pressure on. The skull. Oh my goodness. And the more I look at it, I'm like, it would be like cool for like, Halloween maybe, but this was in April, and also it's just, it's about being respectful and, you know, um, I don't know if somebody brought that to something for my family members, it would weird me out. I'm just saying that. Thank you, Bless. Exactly. We need to pray for Devlin. You're so welcome, Bless, and thank you for being here and listening. Um, yeah, for being the true crime advocate for him. Aw. Yeah, thank you. And I think that everybody can do their part. I just want them to, Bless. I just want them to so badly. I want them to do their part. Um, I wanted to show Jessica that even though people were bashing her online, she could still go and do things to help out for Devlin. Send out the emails, fill out the forms. That's the biggest thing is the family has to do it. We can't. The sword fight, that is too funny. In my opinion, we can give all the resources to them, but they don't want to do it because they want us to do it for them. And that's a big one. That is a big one, Chuchi. It is. Yeah. I know. That's what we said too, Sam. Applebee's for breakfast, what? But they do have it. They have a flapjack breakfast. I always have trouble saying those two words together. But yeah, they have that flapjack breakfast or pancake breakfast. And I was like, they don't have pancakes at Applebee's. They have wonton tacos because that's what I get. And I've never seen a pancake on there. And, it's laziness, Veronica. And I mean, I get when somebody has a lot um, on their plate in life in general. We all do. But you make time to do those things, especially when people send them to you. So I thought that, it was for lack of resources or, understanding how to reach out to these people. It's not. As a matter of fact, excuse me, they make they make it very simple for families. So all you have to do like is click a link and then you fill out a form, right? Your name, right, is not a hard one. Your phone number, not a hard one. Your email, not a hard one. Unless you're like an old person. So someone like, say, Sandra, for instance, I would understand why she wouldn't be as, active to be able to do all of that, right? But somebody that's 38 years old should be, you know. Yeah, exactly. Michael Monkey Vaughn's I've dropped their link too. Yeah, Monkey Vaughn's family received food cards as a part of the way to that we could help. Yeah. I mean, I just assume send somebody a cash app. That's how I do it because otherwise, whatever takes a bit of it. And I know like some of those places are expensive to order from. So, but I think that is such a great idea. It is Little Red because the money thing. Uber Eats though, if you do like it's like $5 or $10 or something like that, um, to do the Dash Pass thing. You can save money that way. But if your family is missing, yeah, I mean, especially your son, right? Because Jessica broke my heart when she's like, "I just want my son. I just want my son." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, exactly. That's the saddest thing ever, right?" But then you're not wanting to reach out to these people. And that's what I need people to do. I just want to, put that out there too, that I just need people to do that, um, to do their part of it, right? And I will say that Tamara did reach out. So a big shout out to Tamara, even though it's expected and basic. Um, you're the family, you should do it. You have to be the ones to do it. But she did get the Missing in America flyer made, by reaching out to them. And that's all, guys. And it was quick. It happened within the day. They were fast, fast, well oiled machine, is what that tells me. Missing in America, shout out to them. Shout out to Tammy for reaching out. Again, it's expected, right? So I'm just going to turn this up, guys, and be silly really quick with you guys. So,
Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor. Crisis actor.
you guys remember that back in the day when we type it in the computer and it would read it out for us? Yeah, I thought that was the funniest thing I ever saw. So I just like recorded it over and over again. So it's just the Google pronunciation thing.
Crisis actor.
And you can make it go slower or not slow. It's hilarious. I love it. Um, so yeah, we have crisis actors in the Devlin Tate case. I think we do. I really do think that we do have crisis actors that are among us and, causing fuckery in the case and then playing the victim, manipulating the situations, putting up polls that are not fair, creating a circus, Sam, creating distractions that are unnecessary or unwanted, unwarranted, right? Because Devlin doesn't deserve that. He deserves much better than that. We all know that. I don't have to lecture up here or whatever, on my high horse. It's just, come on. It's compassion 101. Would you want that shit to be going on in your case if you're missing, or if it was your kid, heaven forbid, or any of your family members? I wouldn't want any of that ever. Nobody does. Yeah, thank you, Lil Red. I think that would be great. We'll talk about it because yeah, we need to get the ball rolling and do our part of things like that. And the thing is that, if all of us do something, it could just contribute so much to the whole cause in finding him. I don't think the answer is far away because we have to consider, who had vehicles, who had access, that sort of thing. And then also the time frame is very slim. It's not, I'm shaving it down um just in terms of making sure that he in fact made it to town. That's my biggest thing right now. That's my biggest hurdle is figuring out whether he made it to town or not. Yeah, I would invite Matt on the panel, Sam. I would. Yeah, because he's the last one that talked to Devlin. So, um, it's a strong possibility that I would be able to get him to do that at this point. I don't think that Matt holds grudges or anything like that, and it's not like we're on bad terms or anything. It's just that I think Matt probably answered all the questions that I mean in the chat per se, but there are questions that I would like to ask again just to see what he has to say about it. So I thought about reaching back out because I have his email. Um, but yeah, I have never blocked anybody out of here. Only the first day, I believe, because you know Tamara was coming in instead of she came in really hot instead of being like, "Hey, Lady Freedom, you don't have the right information." She was really mad. And, "Oh, I'm not gonna have that, I'm not gonna have that, on the panel." Or in the chat, really, but then I was like, "I need to let them at least talk." So I did go back and forth, with it, and then I didn't know even Matt really, I mean, of course, I saw his history. The first thing. That's the first thing that I saw. That was sent over to me in a bunch of stuff. Because I got onto the case 5 months in, so I'm definitely late to the shit show. So good night, Little Red. Good night. Thank you for being here. Gail says, I feel someone in Devlin's family knows what occurred to him, in my opinion. I think so too. I think people have guilty knowledge. I really do. I don't know that Devlin would have gotten into a car with somebody that he didn't know. I mean, where was he wanting to go? So that's one issue that we're having here. You know. Um so it's a big time. Well, there's a lot of major issues with this case, and it's a very excuse me, it goes across the board, really it does. It does go across the board. And so we have you better have proof, right? For me, anyway. I want to see the proof. I want to see where people are at least showing me some receipts about what they're telling me is absolutely true, right? Because anybody can say that. Anybody that can say this is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Well, if you have, proof of it, show me, right? So we do operate with that in mind here. And not everything needs to be publicized, but certain things will be, right? In order to figure this out. So we need to have evidence, right? Right? Because we're Sherlock homeboys. No, I'm just kidding. But really, I mean, we have to follow the footprints, right? We have to follow the evidence. That goes for Sebastian Rogers' case too. going to the different places that we went to whenever I was down there in Tennessee, um, are being revisited right now. So that's amazing. And also, shout out to Silvers and Mob Crew for that, and I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of everybody's videos and stuff. I've just been so busy, but the more we get the word out about these oddities and, solving these cold cases, which they are. I only want to point to Nate the neighbor when it comes to the Shanann Watts case, right? Um, you know, Bella, Cece, and Nico as well. And yeah, Nate the neighbor did lie a little bit, right? But then he also provided the footage that a YouTuber was able to zoom in on and show that there was absolutely, without a doubt, because obviously it wasn't gonna, there wasn't a trial. Chris Watts pleaded guilty, right? Took all of the fall for everything, all of the fault for everything, even though I'm sure Nicole Kessinger had a lot to do with it, in my opinion. But I just want to point to that. I want to point to Red, White, and Bethune, who had the footage of where Gabby Petito's van was, right? Which basically pinpointed her location for her to be found. So never underestimate yourselves. Never underestimate, what we can catch when we really look over footage again and again. you know um so because anything could happen when it comes to going to court. That's why in the court of public opinion we don't really have to worry about that. I mean, we're not held to that standard, if that makes sense. So, and I always side eye anybody that gets really upset about something I have to say. Like, if you're offended, you might want to just figure out if that's a personal problem, in my opinion. Here we go. So nothing we haven't seen before, right? Yawn. I'm yawning over here, right? Because we've done it. But then the polished turd saga is continuing, guys. We're continuing with the polished turd saga. And Devlin Tate is still missing, right? We had incorrect signs galore in the beginning. There were all different types of signs. There's people that made signs that probably shouldn't have been making signs. There was a lot of misinformation being spread around. Some of it, had good intentions behind it. Some of it didn't. So we also have the truth doesn't cost you anything, but a lie can cost you everything. Please tell the truth. Come clean. That goes for you, Katie. That goes for everybody, right? The timeline in Devlin's case is way off. Where is Devlin Tate? Matt says he was in a fairly good mood. This is Matt's comment, Matthew Tate's comment, speaking of him, that he made. He was in a fairly good mood, but apprehensive about court. He was supposed to call um, me back, or my mom back, excuse me. I did the shatter thing on this one. He was supposed to call mom back before he went to bed, but went missing. Right? So Matt is saying that he was supposed to be calling Sandra back before he went to bed, but then he went missing. That's Monday, April 21st, 2025, the day he went missing. That's what his brother, uncle recounts. Right? And then we have Miss Sabrina over here. Devlin's still missing, right? Sebastian's still missing. We have a big bunch of bleach, right? On that, we need to come clean, right? Not just clean your house, come clean of where is Sebastian. So just, wanted to show that to you guys as well. We also have Devlin missing for 7 months. Sorry, this is from, I've done that. It was kind of a thumbnail that I used, right? Here's another sign. I need your help. I'm lost. Have you seen me? And We just need to do a little bit better for Devlin there. But this is a good representation of the skull and the timepiece Christmas tree. And that's Sebastian. He's got multiple flyers as well. Thank God for that. Yeah, so your clown show's exposed by Devlin's army, right? He deserves better. Devlin is a human being. And I think we do need to follow the money, guys. We need to follow means, motive, and opportunity always. That's always the roadmap in these cases. That will lead us to what happened. And then, this is just silliness that I put on there from the old TV show Night Court, which is just funny. Um, Very creepy though, the skull, Devlin. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys that. Just kind of explain what's been going on in his case. So as of lately, as of what the best of my understanding, they're just gonna keep the money with Mary, I suppose. I don't know why they won't put it in a trust, but I do have it on there for a reward just because it's something. You know what I mean? But it is kind of a joke at this point. I have to say it's a lot. It's a lot. Aw, I'm so sorry, Bo, that you're not feeling good. Hey girl, thanks for being here. Yeah, everyone's always in a good mood before they will go poof, or they're playing, right? If they're kids, they were playing. They would just go over there playing, right? Veronica, exactly. Yeah, they always have the best day. Yeah, exactly. Coffee, crime, and cats. 100%. Yep. Hey, Ann Reynolds. Good to see you. Good to see you, Ann. Yeah, so this is where we're at, you guys. With Devlin's case. It's been a lot. It's been a whole lot of, mischief, and mayhem, in my opinion. And I have to giggle a little bit, but it does make me sad. I wish people would do better. I wish we didn't have so many um inconsistent statements, or when I'm trying to pin down the day that Devlin went missing, it's very difficult for people to pin that down, and it shouldn't be. It should be a day that's etched in your mind, right? And if you really want to help with the situation, then you'll talk with me about it. When somebody doesn't talk freely with me, I side eye them, and that's just how I've had to operate. And that's because that's how anybody else would do that in my position if they were trying to really help out and figure out what happened to Devlin. And we're not going to stop. We're going to continue on talking about all of these missing kids cases. So I have, let's see, tomorrow is Friday, and I'm going to go ahead and probably try to do an afternoon show for the first time in a while. It keeps falling through because I'm either on the phone with someone or trying to figure out, what things are going on, or following up with something or other. But with that being said, I want to do kind of a earlier show tomorrow, and then I will see you guys again on Saturday night. Um, and then next week we're gonna try to do a couple of shows a day again. Like I said, I'm trying to get back into the groove of doing that. Um, that way we can cover more cases and more, because Rebecca Park's case, we have a lot to go over in that case. I am just working on getting some information. Um, Over to someone who was asking me to help out, with Devlin's case too. So I've been just kind of like gathering all of that together, and then also making videos and things like that. And again, definitely go check out, show some love under the video for our canine Captain Jules. We just love her to pieces. I hope she has a speedy recovery along with Gator. These are our armed service members who, are putting their lives on the line for all of us. And I'm just really appreciative of them. Grifters and crisis actors. You know, it's so funny, Chuchi, is like I would never dream of doing something like that. So it's just so funny. But some people are really good at manipulating situations. They really are. They're just fantastic at making things, about themselves and, not about the missing. And again, guys, it's really important. So Devlin's description, he was 18 when he went missing. He did have a birthday. He turned 19. We also have his height at 6 foot tall. Weight is probably more like, maybe 160, 50. I don't know. He's definitely slimmed down. So I don't know if they were going which weight they were going with on that, in my opinion. But either way, it's okay. The important thing is to look at his facial features, I think, too, and his build before he went missing. Um, he's got brown eyes, or excuse me, brown hair and hazel eyes. Last seen, he was wearing a black zip up hoodie with a white t-shirt, black cowboy boots, and blue jeans, right? He was wearing his blue jeans. So also thank you to Finding Jesse Farber for putting this flyer together. It's amazing. Case number is SH2502417, right? Or dial 911. First thing, always call the sheriff's office or dial 911 if you think you see any of these missing people or children. For Devlin, it's 616-527-5737, and that's Ionia County Sheriff's Department. In my opinion, they've been doing a stellar job. Everyone has said that they're doing a wonderful job on Devlin's case, and I have to agree with my own personal experience that I have had with Detective Castle. So I'm really hoping that that is the case, and I'm not being bamboozled. But I mean, I'm trying to keep the faith as well. Hey, Kylie's nail candy, good to see you. Thank God for that because it's 6:35. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, you guys got to go watch Smiley too. Oh, I shared this one and I have to go back and listen, but I listened to part of it and oh hot damn. Let me tell you. Um Whew, Smiley was on fire, okay? And Women's Warrior says, "Thank God for that because it's 6:35 a.m. here. I'm having to pull all-nighters to see your information. It's a killer." Oh, I'm sorry, Women's Warrior. Yeah, I know. And I love doing the day shows because of that, because I know a lot of people love to be in the chat as well. And I want everybody to have an opportunity to do that. And I figured if I do, one um in the early afternoon and then one at night. And then sometimes it might even work out where I can do one early, um, which is because I'll just pull an all-nighter. But like again, I've just been working on getting this information over and it's quite a bit um to gather up, for all intents and purposes of what I'm gathering. So sorry, that was my table. I had like a really itch on my ankle there. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the Texas child, Dawson uh, Zamora. Oh, his mother and her boyfriend beat the 3-year-old and he passed. But I want to follow what happened in this case. My gosh. That poor baby. Ugh, Little Red, I didn't even hear about that. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I don't know why people do the things that they do, you know? Yes. Yes, can we please get those? Yes. Yeah, Chuji. There's been a missing teen from Cleveland for almost 3 years. His 18th birthday just passed. Kishawn Williams, my heart hurts for his family. Thank you, Coffee, Crime, and Cats. Oh my goodness. Aw. And that's what's so sad, guys, is that, there's so many cases out there that don't get the exposure that they deserve. I'm so grateful to have you guys here in the chat that when I put the thumbnail up for Devlin, I know that you guys are coming in here to hear about his story, you know, and that's important to me because Devlin didn't have a whole lot of activity on YouTube, and he still does it. And I'm praying that he does in a positive light. But he hasn't had as much as some cases, which I mean, obviously, huge shout out to Mr. and Mrs. E's always, and Aunt E because they had a live about Devlin, and so did Crime Time Buzz. So, I'm very much appreciative of that as well because it gave me, um, information to kind of go off of as well once I knew about it. Um, but again, there was an issue with, Laura Cobb, Panda Bear's mom, and Tamara, which, again, is not going to be uncommon, you know, with the personalities that we deal with, the personality that we're dealing with, so to speak. But, it is what it is. I think that we're doing very well, guys. I don't think the answer is far off. I think that it's more or less that we really need to put the focus on Devlin and this time frame that we have, even though because it can't be that far off, right? Either something happened to him on Easter Sunday, which I haven't ruled out yet, or he made it home indefinitely. I'm thinking of Sebastian now. He made it up to town, which is, Carl's supermarket or anywhere in the town. That's where we start our timeline from, right? But then again, we do have some sort of confirmation from Matt that the phone call was, ended at 9:30 a.m. So that tightens up the time frame. So 9:30 a.m. was the last time he was seen or heard from. See, it's not that hard. People are making it so despicable and so complicated. I feel like Avril Lavigne over here, right? They're making it complicated, and it's not that complicated. 9:30 a.m. and Devlin goes poof. Uh-uh. No, that's not going to happen, right? That's the one thing we know didn't happen. So there's that, and then he's been missing for 7 months. So something had to have happened to Devlin. And then his phone pings also, don't forget, at the very end of that day, after 11:30 p.m., right? Because I even found out that it's a little bit closer of a time frame to midnight, right? But I mean, they're not showing us any proof of anything. I think we need proof of life for Devlin. I would like to see the video of him at Carl's. Pretty please, with cherries on top. I just want to see it. I think it would be good to release it. I think it would be good to release it and saying, we're looking for this young man. Have you seen him? I think it's important to see Devlin's mannerisms. We saw them when he was at Bob's barn, and I'm forever grateful that Bob's shared that with us in order for us to be able to see that. That's important. That's someone that we could maybe identify out and about and say, oh, that is him. He has the same mannerisms as Devlin. Veronica, we ignore. Oh no, I feel bad because sometimes I ignore my emails. Love you too, Veronica. Thank you. She says we love you. We like the laughs we get, and also the different things we cover or you cover, and that you interact with the chat and don't ignore what everyone's saying. Because you could be my cousin. Seriously. Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. That is so sweet of you. Well, I love talking with you guys. I know Annually says the true crime besties, but I think that's accurate for true crime. People that like to talk about it, and hear about these cases. Who care about the kids and the people that are out here. So I appreciate you too, Veronica. That's sweet. Um, yeah, I enjoy it. And like I said, a lot of times you guys will bring things up that I forgot to talk about, or it'll, remind me of something else I was thinking about earlier in the day. And then also if somebody is new to this podcast, or if you hear about Lady Freedom, and I would just encourage, or Trisha Chavez is what my Facebook is. I would just encourage you to come over and watch, Devlin's playlist and kind of see how, I've always let everybody come up on the panel and talk and say their piece. I always have done that, and I always want to do that because I think it's fair and balanced, and I want to be able to do that for everybody that's involved, the family members too, and that way they feel like they're able to have a voice or be heard. Um, so I'll always do that as long as they're willing to be respectful. But I'm never going to have them up on the panel all together to hash it out and fight on the panel. Um, is entertaining as it would be for, you know, the shock value, oh, let's watch them, go back and forth. It doesn't help Devlin's case at all. It doesn't help find him. Um, and so I would just encourage um, other creators not to get sucked into that because I think that has been something that, could pop off at any moment. And I would just really discourage that, especially if you're, tragedy pimping or, you know, um, being a crisis actor. I can't even believe I could say it without laughing because I laughed so freaking hard when I saw that. But I think it's more because I'm just feeling, sad for Devlin because I just think that he didn't have a whole lot of people in his corner. And then even so now when he's missing, circumstances haven't changed very much. People are still trying to, take advantage of the situations. And it's all the family members. Don't forget that the community members haven't done um, as much to take advantage of the situation as the his family has, in my opinion. Um, and that doesn't go for his whole family. He's got a big family. So I don't want that to be mistaken. But again, it's Devlin's story. It's not my story. It's just the way I'm seeing his story unfold, and I show you guys like the text and stuff so you can make your own mind up. Um, but he was very much alone. So it's sad. It's sad. And there's so many people out there that are right there with you. And I am too, women's warrior. I don't believe the lack of CCTV in the area. I don't either. Um, and if there is a lack of that camera footage, then we know that at some point Devlin was either picked up in a car because all of a sudden he just disappeared off of the footage, right? Off of the routes that he would normally take. So it's sad. Yeah, they want me to do the Jerry. And then also, we have the issue of who is Devlin's biological father, right? We have one guy that signed the birth certificate, which is Tamra's son, right? So when Tamra calls herself Devlin's sister, that's kind of strange, right? Because really she's more of a grandma in age, logically speaking and chronologically speaking. I'm sorry. And, I understand that her parents adopted Devlin, so now she says that's her brother. It's just it muddies the waters a lot, right? But then also so does the fact that people are coming out of the woodwork saying that Ed Mansfield is Devlin's father, right? So, and I was also told by a very reliable source that Jessica told him that she did sleep with Ed Mansfield. And Ed Mansfield is adamant that Devlin is his son. You know, um, so it's very sad. It's unbelievable. Hey, Detroit, thank you for being here. Yeah, and it's sad. It's very, very, very sad. Um, and at the end of the day, I think that the main focus should always be trying to figure out what could have happened to Devlin. The only other thing that I can think of, if there's no camera footage, that maybe he could have made it out of the general area. And we're going to talk about some of the routes that Devlin might take as well, because there was someone that was gracious enough to share that information with me. And I do appreciate that. Um, so yeah, there's people who do care tremendously. I just think that sometimes people feel like they're at a loss, but I would encourage the family members to change some of the things that they're doing, um, in order to help find Devlin, because like I said, it's not it's more it's easier than we're making it out to be, in my opinion. We can really narrow this time frame down and figure out maybe what could have happened to him if we just put aside some of this nonsense. But, I had fun making the, couple minute video that I did, and, sharing it with you guys tonight, just because I wanted you guys to understand what we were dealing with here. But yeah, any ideas that we can get going, that would be fantastic. And like I said, we're just going to keep trucking along. We're going to keep trucking along. And I might be able to, like I said, make a trip out there, maybe sometime in May. So we'll see, because I want to go closer to the time um, that Devlin is was missing. You know, so we'll see what transpires and what we can come up with. But I think it would be a very good thing, and maybe I can interview some people and talk with some people that would talk with me. So mainly Detective Castle. I would like to talk to her in person. So. But I'm gonna get off here, guys, so I can finish up what I was gathering together. Um, I'm so sorry. I know, see, it's bad this time of year. Oh my goodness, it is. It is. Um, all right, guys. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get back to some work. And then also, like I said, we're gonna be talking about the text from Tamara, because it is a fair, balanced, unbiased podcast, and that's what we're going to do in order to paint the picture and better understand what Devlin's mindset was near the time he disappeared. So that's my main goal, is to figure that out as well, and to learn some things about Devlin. I'm always hoping to learn something different than it comes back to abuse, but that's the road that it leads back to, I'd say, a good 90% of the time. And I just feel sorry for Devlin. And I think that he deserved better. So, with that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening here. And I will see you all tomorrow afternoon.